I knew that this was going to be something that I charge much more for just because of the scope of it. This isn't something that I've done before. I hadn't charged this much for my work before, and like I said, I wanted to get around those self-limiting beliefs. When it comes to bringing up money, a big lesson is to bring it up. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Creative Journal podcast. I am very grateful and very happy to be having this episode today. Today we have solo episode today, so the show starring me. But as you may have guessed from the title of this video, these are the biggest lessons I've learned from my first 4-figure design project. I've actually had this under wraps. I haven't shared it on social media or anything like that because, to be honest, I was a little embarrassed because it's not that big a deal, but it's a huge deal to me because to me it really validates my experience. And before any of you listeners, not that any of you would say this, but before any of the topic of, oh, Andy is so self-centered, oh, this is egotistical, he's just flexing, he doesn't really have any value to offer, I would argue against that. I'm not flexing in any sense of the word. In fact, it's pretty embarrassing that it's taken me this long, to be honest. So this is an episode to talk about everything I've learned from that freelance project. I'm not going to be revealing the client just for sensitive information. He knows that I'm making this episode, but for his financial purposes, just because those are involved, those will not be disclosed, the name. But I'm super excited to share with you guys. I've learned so much in this project, and I can't wait to go into the backstory, everything I've done wrong, all the lessons I've learned, and I think it's going to be a great way to share with you guys how to close your own first figure, 4-figure, and beyond design project. This is also to change my own mindset and my own self-belief framework around money and how I think about it. Because to be honest, this was something that was in my mind before this. I didn't value my time. I didn't value my skills at this. And looking forward, now that I have this project under my belt and I've learned the skills of financing and invoicing, I feel like I can charge a lot more, and I know I can because I have a better sense of what I offer. And I honestly, for this project, I feel like I could have charged more, but the lessons that this project has taught me in and of themselves have been worth every penny. And even if I shorted myself, I'm here to share those lessons with you guys. So expect to learn how you can better portray your value to prospects, how to itemize your invoices, how to be clear about the benefits of your service, and talk about the things that you have worked for on past projects to add value to the project you're currently working on. Okay, so one of the biggest lessons I learned at the start of this project was money. I knew that this was going to be something that I charged much more for just because of the scope of it. To get into a little bit of the details, this was a graphic design and minor web design project. So this was building out an apparel store for a client, making the original designs on the clothing and uploading the store and transferring ownership. This was a Shopify store, and it was about a 1-month project. So it isn't a huge, big, multi-6-figure design client, but this was something I was super excited about and also pretty nervous, I'm going to be honest, because this isn't something that I've done before. I hadn't charged as much for my work before, and like I said, I wanted to get around those self-limiting beliefs. So the first thing we're going to dive into to kind of dissect this is the invoice. And I actually have this pulled up in front of me right now. For those of you who don't know, I use Zoho Invoices, and it's a great free tool to get started. You can go in and customize everything and just send it to the client's email. Client gets it in their inbox. You connect your Stripe and your bank account, and they can pay via credit card. You can do partial deposits. You can set due dates, terms, attach a contract, do all that kind of stuff. So get that figured out. I would highly recommend Zoho. I'll link them in the show notes. But the first tip I would give on invoicing is to itemize your invoice, especially when you're just getting started. So if I look at this invoice here, the deliverables include a custom website, domain, and hosting, which is all done through Shopify. It's a fun list everything. Go into pretty good detail. Like on this one here, I have 7 or 8 individual items, and you don't want to have a huge whole long list, but you want to justify your value in the sense that that the client is getting the idea that you're really working for them, that you are their warrior, and that you're providing as much value as you can. So the first tip is to really list out your value on your invoices. Another thing you can do, which I did not do on this project, was include your hourly rate in discussions and add that to your invoice. So this is kind of up to you. I priced my hourly rate right now about $60 an hour, just me personally. But you can use that to kind of create your pricing value based on how much time you want to put into it. And I was open with the client. I said, I'm going below my hourly rate for this, and that's a good thing to bring up, because once the client knows your hourly rate, they know how much time and effort you're going to be investing into the project, and it's good to be an open book with them on that. So that's the invoice. Now, when it comes to bringing up money, do this before you send them the invoice. This is very important. This is something I did right. I actually did this. And when it comes to bringing up money, a big lesson is to bring it up early and often. I'm glad I did this because I knew out of the gate this was going to be a financially bound project. I was doing this for money. I'm also doing this for relationships. And that's another thing I told the client too, was I'm in a position where I'm looking to make long-term relationships. And that's something that I think a lot of clients want to hear. So bring up money early and often. Something I did well was I used phrases like to cover my time and to protect myself when talking about the investments I was making back into the project. So for example, we had to outsource some merchandise and apparel design, and I was open about the transfer of costs. Like I had to pay money to the supplier to ship goods, and this gets outside of kind of the realm of graphic design. But as you guys will find, when you do big long-term projects, you become a problem solver. And I've talked about this in a little bit in the podcast entry 9, which I will link below as well. But you use phrases like investment over expense, and so that you talk about money in a way that's not condescending to the person you're working with, because money shouldn't be something that is not talked about, but it should be something that is used as an investment, and when you talk about being spent in the phrase of it being an investment rather than it being a cost, then you guys are on the same page and you're working towards a common goal. Because any money, whether it's on your behalf, whether you're buying the domain, whether you're buying equipment, things that you itemize in the invoice that you upsell for, those are all investments. And when you call them that, when you're communicating with them, it just creates a much better framing around money, and everything goes so much more smoothly. So that's one thing I did well. And so the next lesson is when it comes to what to focus on. So I knew going into this project, I wanted this to be very long-term, and my project focus was to just add as much value as possible. I'm at a point in my career where I don't have the resume experience. I don't have the past work experience with clients to niche down enough to say, yes, I only do this one service and this is what I'm charging for it. I became a problem solver because I'm looking to expand my services and know which one I want to niche down into the future. That makes sense. So I've taken a lot of reflective and intensive notes, which is something I would recommend all creatives do when they're taking on a bigger project, is to remember every step of the project. Something my mentor Josh Hall told me is, when you're refining your services, you have to have done them and gotten good at them in order to call them your service. So take conscious notes, journals like we do here at the Creative Journal. Know what you're doing throughout every step of the project. And if you're doing something that you enjoy, say you enjoy doing the graphic design itself, say maybe, okay, I like doing the website domain. I like building out this style of website. I like this part of the process. I like the photoshopping, the imaging, any step of the process that you feel like you enjoy the most and you don't want to end. And there's also going to be parts of the project that you don't enjoy as well, and be very conscious in those and not avoiding them, but just saying, okay, maybe when I sell in the future, when I offer my services, I won't be pushing this service as hard, because in the end, we're trying to provide value at the same time as doing something we enjoy. So taking the time to realize what it is through the process that you're enjoying is a really good and helpful tool that I am doing. Another tip is to upsell and create recurring profits from this project, and this is how I was able to get this project into the four figures, because it wasn't just one service I was adding. Over time, you're going to find that the people that you work with, your clients, they have multiple struggles and they have multiple problems. And the important thing is, when it goes back to itemizing that invoice, is to make sure that you itemize or you keep track of what you're doing, because so much stuff can get swept under the rug, and that's what we call scope creep. So you want to really make sure you're identifying it, and whether you're invoicing it for each service individually or you're including it in the main and you have a clause in the contract that you wrote out. I can attach a sample contract. I can attach my sample base contract. Obviously, you're going to have to go in and make some tweaks, but I'll attach that PDF below, and you guys are free to use Acrobat. That's what I usually use, or just copy paste from it and create your own kind of template. But I'll be sure to include that link so you guys can download that and give you a reference, or just copy it. I wouldn't copy it word for word, but it's a good place to help you guys get started. So I would really recommend separating your services and communicating them in the invoice, and upselling. And I don't like the term upselling because that makes you sound very salesy, and I'm nowhere near salesy enough. I don't even like the word sales. So, but upselling and creating recurring profits. So this is a lot easier to do when it's a website like this had included. So you can get them on a maintenance plan, a care plan, where you transfer store ownership like you do with Shopify, which is what this project entailed. And then you get a affiliate commission from Spotify for transferring that store. And you can also create recurring revenue from the client for hosting their website and being their go-to guy if any issues were to rise, and making sure you're staying on top of updates, making sure the website is responsive, excuse me. And that way you add a lot more value over time, and it creates more stable income. And it also keeps the relationship going with the client, because the last thing you want to do is say, okay, we've done this project, shake hands, ask for a testimonial, and say adios. You want these people to be recurring clients. It's a lot easier to keep clients and get recurring work from them than it is to keep having to onboard and go through the process. And that's something that I'm learning, and that's something that I'm trying to keep at the forefront as I grow in my career. Some other phrases, actionable phrases you can use are openly say, I offer or I help with some of these things when these problems arise, and not saying like, this costs this much, and then making it sound like you're being salesy and upselling throughout the process, which is not what you want to do. If you're doing things right, then they will be coming to you to solve these problems because you've justified yourself, as I did, and I was getting more work and proving my value over time. And I'm excited to work with these people down the road. So if you have a client that you're working with, or you want to get repeat work from them, create a maintenance plan or a care plan, and just be very open about wanting to establish a relationship, a long-term relationship with this client. And just say, I even openly said in this, I said, I want to be your guy. I'm at a point in my career where I'm looking for long-term relationships with clients, and that's usually very good for them to hear, and that went across very well. So, and it depends on the type of project, so take from that what you may, but this is what has worked really well for me as I reflect on this. Another thing that I learned is earning and gaining trust. You want to take every opportunity you can to be on their side and fight for them, especially when you get into a project where there's other people involved. You want to be the teammate. You want to be their line of defense. You want to be someone that they trust. And to build that trust, you have to fight for them and use language that reflects that. So for example, throughout communication, throughout emails, throughout text threads, throughout phone calls, throughout Zoom calls, you use phrases like we are and us. So for example, when we're outsourcing some of this merchandise, when we're looking to try and get the best margins we can for the designs on the shirts and everything, and trying to make the store optimized for them, I use phrases like, this is going to be a profitable store. No one else in our industry is doing anything like this. We are making a lot of progress. Just small things like that, they really pick up on. And that's something that I'm very conscious to try to do in communication, because stuff like that goes a long way. You want to be on the same team. Okay. And communication plays a big role on that. And small phrases like that really go a long way. So to kind of wrap up, like I said, I've learned a ton in this project so far. The last couple things I want to talk about are earning and gaining trust. And I kind of touched on this briefly already, but you want to take every opportunity you can to be on their side. You want to deliver unmatched value, and I do this by comparing the value that I add to their competitors. And you don't want to do this in a sleazy way, but you want to say like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing together that is setting ourselves apart, especially when you're adding it to a small business or someone that's really looking at this. So if this client is looking to you as an investment, especially if they aren't a huge white label corporation. They're looking at your services as an investment, and they expect a return on that investment. So be sure to share things that will excite them, give them updates, stay in communication, stay in thread, and they're going to build that. That's going to build that trust with them, and it's going to give them confidence that they're doing the right thing in investing in you, because you're looking to create partners, for the long term. And open communication and delivering value. Just Gary Vee has this thing. He says, jab, 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 right hook. After you have the commitment from the client, you get the deposit up front, which is something else I should mention. Always get a deposit up front. For this one, as I look at this invoice, it was 50% deposit up front before I did any work. Now, obviously, there is some communication work that goes into it. You have to make the invoice, you have to make the estimate and send that their way. So technically you would be out a little bit of time, but it's worth it if you feel like this is a partner you want to work with long term, and also they end up closing the deal. So get a deposit up front. I probably should have mentioned that earlier on, but that's something you really want to dial in on, especially when you get more, as I am, getting more experience in, talking to clients and having the faith in myself to charge more money. You want to make sure that you're not getting ripped off, because what we do is a service, and any type of service you provide, you should get a deposit, because you're making an investment just as the client is. And that builds the trust that you're both invested and you're looking to be on the same team throughout the project. And another note on delivering unmatched value, you want to act like the expert, because you are the expert. This is so important. As someone that transparently lacks a lot of confidence at times, I feel like there are moments when I let my self-talk get the better of me. It takes a mindset shift. It takes a lot of gusto, and you really have to have that faith in yourself, especially when there's a monetary aspect involved, especially a significant one, to deliver. And if you don't have that confidence in yourself, then this client is not going to have confidence in you. So you have to use language and be precise, communicates your value, and shows that you know what you're doing, because you do. I like to think that we're all failing forwards in life, and I say that in the best way possible. And if you ever feel like you're not qualified, or you got lucky and this project just fell on your lap, that's not true. That's never true. By virtue of the fact that you have the project and that you are doing the job and you're doing the work, then you deserve to be there. And I can't say that enough, because it is true. And the last thing, I'm going to wrap it up, is the secret ingredient to bring to all client projects. And this one has come in super key for me, and I'm going to really be mindful of this moving forward. And to me, the secret ingredient to bring to all client interactions, big or small, no matter the value or the monetary involvement of either of you, is one magic ingredient, and that is enthusiasm. Okay? naturally, I'm a pretty monotone person. Naturally, I ride very keel. I've done a lot. I've done a lot of work to try and make that the case at times, because there's times when I veer on the wrong end of enthusiasm. You know what I mean? But people dig enthusiasm, okay? And it's such a positive feedback loop. It shows that you're excited and that you're committed to making the best possible thing you can for the client. And I can't say it enough. Bring enthusiasm to every interaction you have, because this is the magic ingredient. And if the client sees that you're excited to work for them and that you're excited to solve these problems for them, which you should be because this is what you love doing, then they're going to be so much more apt to create positive interactions moving forward. They're going to offer you more work. They're going to be more trusting of you. And it just creates, like I said, that positive feedback loop. So whenever you're talking to clients, no matter what it's about, when you face problems, when you meet deadlines, when you have all these technical things that you need to overcome in the project, bring that enthusiasm in. So to bring this one home, I really hope this doesn't come across as any kind of flex. 4 figures as a design project is really just a metric, and it's a vanity metric, to be honest, because I think I've time and time again proven my worth to clients, and this is just a milestone on the forefront of me earning more and more over time and making this a career. And I really hope it doesn't come across as I'm trying to flex or anything, because like I said, I've made a ton of mistakes even in this project. And for example, in this project, I wish I had charged more. I wish I had been more communicative. I wish I had done everything that I just brought up, portraying my value, bringing up money, focusing on the right things, upselling, earning and gaining trust, delivering value. I wish I had done all of these things better, because I know in my heart of hearts that I could have charged a lot more for this project, because I believe the value that I delivered is far and away greater than their investment. And I'm okay with that, because by virtue of me being in this project, by virtue of having learned all these lessons that I'm now passing on to you, I hope that that monetary flaw, that monetary mistake will make me much more insecure now that I know how to better confront that. I hope this helped you guys. Reach out to me, asmilligan5@gmail.com. Comment below. Hit me up on Instagram at mindfulmilligan. Let me know how your design work is going, and just say hello. The 15 seconds. Shoot me an email. Send me a message on Instagram, and I will get back with you. If you guys are enjoying the show, please leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you do, I will highlight you and read you out at the beginning of the next episode. Check out all the links I mentioned below. Be sure to check out the PDF that you can edit and use to make your own contracts. That's it for this entry of the Creative Journal, and I will see you guys next week. Peace out.